Today, what we really want to emphasize, and we can feel you're up for it, what we really want to emphasize is the close proximity. It's so close that you could call it instant manifestation, although that freaks you out. The close proximity between the alignment that you achieve deliberately with your vortex and the manifestations that follow, or the not closeness with your vortex that you achieve and the manifestations that follow. We want to show you how whatever it is you're feeling is causing the manifestations to unfold. Now, sometimes you don't believe that because it feels like, oh, there's already people out there. There are already situations that have been created. I cannot create in the experience of another. But we want you to understand that you can evoke, you can elicit, you can rendezvous with, in fact, not just can you, but you do, with precisely in the moment how you're feeling in the moment, with precisely how you're doing, how you're feeling in the moment, with precisely how you're doing, how you're feeling in the moment. Now, friends, freak you out or not, that's instant manifestation. You can be observing something that's not so good, and maybe it's irritating you, maybe it's frightening you, maybe it's just frustration. It could be anywhere in that range of unwanted emotions, strong or not so strong. And as you focus there, you cause a vibration within you to reverberate in response to whatever it is that you're observing. You just let often that circumstance train you into a vibrational frequency. And then everything that happens to you now, this could take a while, now, reflects what you've got going on vibrationally. Now, what you've got going on vibrationally is always reflected to you by what you feel. But what happens to you so often is you become accustomed to feelings that are indicators of vibration that's going to reflect back to you more stuff that you really don't want so much. But you're hardy, we know. You take those classes, those stiff upper lip classes. You take those wrestle it to the ground and kill it classes. You take those life isn't supposed to be fair or fun classes. You take those I'm strong and I'm hardy and I can endure and I can persevere and life isn't supposed to be fun. And we say, yes, it is. It's supposed to be fun, not just now, but always. And what you're going to come to realize as you play with this more and more in a conscious, deliberate way is that it is oh so fun to witness something unwanted, maybe something really unwanted, because in the knowing of what you don't want, there is a bounce or the other end of that vibrational wavelength that knows exactly what you do want. And even though you can't maybe speak what you want because you're so embroiled in what you don't want, what you do want's bouncing out of you, bouncing out of you, bouncing out of you, because friends, you just got to know how obvious it is when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. In other words, that's that deciphering process, isn't it? And when you really don't want it, you really do want something else. And when you sort of don't want it, you sort of don't want something else. But this process helps you to define whether you can speak it or not. So this defining, this preferring, this giving birth to new intentions, it's the evolution of all species. It's the evolution of the cellular species. It's the evolution of the human species. It's the evolution of everything, is this energy or vibration that bounces from someone, whether you're a one-celled organism or whether you're a full-fledged genius human, focusing and identifying, whether consciously or whether vibrationally, identifying what it is you prefer. Evolution, expanding, becoming. But most humans are really slow on the trigger to go along with what they have birthed. Your inner being isn't. In other words, you were source energy before you came into this physical body, and only a part of that consciousness, a really rather small, we will not say insignificant, but it is part of you. In other words, the larger part of you remains non-physical. Here you are, physically focused, this wonderful personality that is you, sifting through and preferring, expanding, becoming, asking, whether you put words to it or not. Someone's rude, you want nicer people around you. If you're sick, you want to be well. If you're really sick, you really want to be well. If you don't have enough money, you want money. All day, every day, bounce. And the source within you becoming. Because every time you say, I'd like that, source who holds no resistance, your inner being who holds no resistance, becomes what you've asked for. Vibrationally speaking. Now, that doesn't ring your bells very much because you're into manifestation, and it's okay. That's why you're here in these flesh, blood, and bony bodies. You have come for manifestations. You've come to this leading edge because, to line up and manifest, it just doesn't get any better than that. This is not catching up time. This is leading edge time. You're not here to prove worthiness through your manifesting. You're here to prove creation through your manifesting. In other words, you're here to create through manifestation. So that's what the art of allowing that we've been talking about for all of these years really is. It's about understanding that life is going to cause you to expand and that you have options of going along with it or not. And mostly, we love you very much, mostly, you want manifestations to improve so that you can have a good feeling response to them. And we got to give it to you. When you're looking at good feeling manifestations, you do feel pretty good. But it's not deliberate creation. It's not the work. That's regurgitating. It doesn't matter how many good things you observe and regurgitate. You have had all kinds of things that you've put in your vortex that you don't claim under those conditions. You claim them under the condition, and this is really the mindset. This is the theory. This is the conceptual that we want you to acknowledge exists before you work your way into it. I have the ability to vibrationally align and practice and become all that life has caused me to desire. And when I do, in the process of becoming it, I'll feel better and better. In the process of doing it, I'll begin to feel energy flow. In the process of becoming it, I will feel the passion that I came to this life to live. And then, and we are not wanting to water this down one little tiny bit, and then manifestation will validate my newfound vibrational alignment. Validate. So we want to talk in terms of the validation of manifestation. We've been saying to you for a long while that there are two ways that you can tell what you're doing vibrationally. One is by the way you feel, and the other is by what's manifesting. Good to know. But we want you to understand that if what's manifesting is tricky or treacherous or uncomfortable, and you don't know what you know about alignment, then you might give in to letting reality train your vibration. That's what a lot of people do. In fact, most people let what is. You've heard us say, if you've been listening to us for a while, that most people offer most of their vibration in response to what they are observing. So we're just wanting to call your attention to this vortex that you can also observe. We just want your desire to observe your vortex to be heightened enough that you begin to do the real creative work, because deliberate creation is achieving alignment with who you really are and then letting manifestation validate where you are. And it's so much fun. When you deliberately shift the way you feel, even though circumstances don't really give you a reason to, but you do it anyway. And why would you do it? Because you're supposed to feel good. Why else would you do it? Because you're supposed to feel good. Why else would you do it? Because you're supposed to feel good. Why else would you do it? Because you're supposed to feel good. Why else would you do it? Because you're supposed to feel good. Why else would you do it? Because you're supposed to feel good. Really the only reason. Well, there is another reason. Because who you really are has already done it, and if you don't do it, you won't feel good. But you're supposed to feel good. 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 You are supposed to feel good no matter what. Now, there are many people that say, that's just stupid. How could anybody feel good under those conditions? And we say, because you're supposed to feel good. You're supposed to feel good because you are the creator of the conditions, you see. And when you get it that you're supposed to feel good and you find alignment and you do feel good, and then you watch manifestation mimic the goodness that you feel, now you have control of manifestations. And isn't that what deliberate creation is? So when we say to you, don't try to control the uncontrollable. What we mean by that is, don't try to manipulate the manifestations. Instead, do the vortex work. And here is the phrase that we want you to remember forever. Let your vortex affect the manifestation. Let the energy that creates worlds create your world, you see. You sort of getting the hang of this? We really enjoy visiting with you and watching you as you are moving through the details of your life experience, because there are so many things that you think about that don't serve you and that don't cause you any real discomfort immediately, because you have, we love you very much, become accustomed to, we love you so much, enduring ridiculous things. You get ornery about things, and because it doesn't kill you in the moment, you let that orneriness persevere. You have principles that you carry around that don't serve you, have never served you, aren't serving you, and will never serve you. But because they're not killing you, you carry them on and you teach them to your children. And then you put them in detention when they don't agree with you about your principle. So we see our greatest value to you here today, and the greatest work that we do as we are playing with you, is to convince you of the reality of this vibrational beingness that has amassed and that is real, but that may be vibrating at a frequency where you can't yet see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it, and that's why you don't believe it. It is so much easier to believe what's manifested than to believe what's pre-manifested. And this pre-manifestation, it is the precursor to all of this magnificent expansion. If we can convince you that you were source energy before you came into this body, and that the larger part of you still is source energy even though you're in this body. If we can convince you that as you explore the details of your life that you cause a vibrational expansion, and that the larger part of you immediately takes that expansion, is that expansion, has become that expansion, and is calling you to it. And if we can convince you that the way you feel is your evidence, in the moment evidence, of whether you're going with the expansion or whether you're holding back a little bit. To the degree that you feel bad, you're holding back. To the degree that you feel good, you're going with it. And if we can convince you that if you will just chill out a little, if you will stop looking at reality and letting whatever it is control your every thought, if you will allow yourself the hopeful conclusion that maybe there is a vortex and maybe my source is within it, and maybe if I just release thoughts, that source will call me into vibrational alignment, then it is our promise to you that your vortex will train your vibration upward. Because in the absence of resistant thought, you practice a non-resistant, totally allowing thought. And the more often you do that, the more easy it is to do it, until in time, and we're talking about a very short time, you will become a vibrational match to the frequency of your source. And when that happens, when you spend more time in this vortex, do you believe there's a vortex? Can you sort of kind of hear it? You get what we're talking about? You have to accept it. You're good, but you haven't figured out how to scrape enough dirt together to launch it into orbit. You gotta know there's something else going on. And as you acknowledge that there is this vortex of creation, and as you acknowledge that it is a vibrational frequency, and as you accept the reality of it and feel your way into it again and again and again, and once you're in it, you milk it. You stay there as long as you can until it's more natural for you to be in that frequency than to be in a resistant frequency that doesn't feel so good. What will begin to happen to you is you will begin to see and hear and smell and taste and touch inside the vortex. In other words, we're not saying to you that everything that manifests is outside the vortex. We're saying to you that you got to be in the vortex for the things you want to manifest. You got to be in the vortex for the things that you want to consistently and profoundly and chronically begin to manifest. You got to believe, you've got to understand your frequency. And the only way that you can understand your frequency is through your emotions. Do you get that? We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. It is delicious to come together with those like you who are coming to know the power of who you are. This has been a remarkable day. We've talked about a lot of different things, and we are feeling utterly satisfied with the motion forward that we have made in terms of new ideas, but mostly with the coming